Hey everyone. So I've noticed recently that there is basically nothing on the Discord server related to Coco that showcases what we've done in the game. So I thought I'd take this opportunity right now to try to showcase everything that we have in the game so that all the new future updates that we put in to showcase what we've been doing will make a little bit more sense. So I've gone ahead and built the game, which means I've just kind of compiled it in a way that we could actually play it. And this would be a nice first opportunity to see everything in the game if you haven't already. So it starts off with us being in the menu, and of course there is going to be music in the future. There currently isn't because I haven't gotten around to making any. But we just have this little cutscene that goes by. I'm going to go ahead and set the options. All of these will actually remember what we've set it to before, but I'm going to turn the music all the way up, and I'm going to raise the graphics to their highest quality setting so that we can get started. And we'll just go ahead and begin. So you see we have some nice animations, and you actually start at half HP. Also, there will be music in here as well, but as you can see, this is our character. She is a 3D character with this adorable looking face and her nice idle animation, which was made by Hugs. And you can see that she's got dynamic movements as well, so the speed that you walk affects the speed at which she goes. She has a walking animation, kind of a brisk walk, and then she starts to run, little jumps and so on. So as you can see, there's quite a lot going for her. The theme of the game as well is also very, very friendly and colorful, but I know this will be a little bit more exciting if there was some music in the background. So there is some music in different parts of the game, and we'll get there. We have these nice little signs here that are actually also dynamic. They change based off of certain events, but they're just playful, and they do what they do. Okay, you can see that we have all these different areas here. It is basically a platforming game if you think about it. But the height at which she jumps as well is based off of how long you press the button. So a quick tap causes her to, well, I'm apparently tapping a little too hard here. But yeah, a quick tap sends her quite low, and then the longer you hold it, the higher she jumps. Right? And again, signs and signs. There's some down here as well, just in case, I know people will make their mistakes. So I'm not going to go ahead and read all the signs. That's actually part of the fun of the game as well, to go ahead and explore all of them. But what I will do is kind of just pass right by them, and you can also read them if you're interested. But again, they are just kind of here for fun. Oh my goodness. But yeah, the game is relatively intuitive. You can kind of figure out how to get around everything on your own. This is the tutorial stage after all, so really it's only designed to get you used to and comfortable with everything. And so we've unlocked the Puff Glide. So this is your first introduction to long jumps here, okay? And it essentially gives you this opportunity to try to glide by just kind of tapping the A button again when you're in the air. I'm using a PS4 controller, so it's actually the X button. Something you might not notice here is I can't actually turn the camera in. So this was an assisting thing that we did before. We found that some people tended to get confused when they got here. So now the camera automatically shifts to showcase where you're supposed to go, and it gives it a little bit more leeway. You have this nice view of everything behind you. So again, it's just a little rundown of everything you've seen. Right, you can come back up here. Again, when I said that it was a puzzle game, to some people I meant it was a puzzle platformer. So there's a little bit of thought that goes into some of these. None of the puzzle elements have really come into play in the tutorial world. It does have some areas where it requires you to use your brain just a little bit, but realistically you're not expected to do very much. Now, over here, I will not show what happens, but that's something that you could find out some other time. And the reason as well is because it will slow us down, and I'm not ready to slow down. There's a lot to do. Actually, I will show what happens here, because what happens is now you've got a checkpoint, and we're going to update a few of these to be a little bit better, but what happens now is if you fall to your death, ignoring the text, you have this nice little respawn animation, which we're actually very proud of. But yeah, if you come here, there's also, it's very difficult to get out of that. So it draws you down, you fall into this nice little area here with the pool, and there will be reasons as to why you get here, and we're going to be modifying how the teleportation works and so on. But you can also fall into this pool, and if you do, you end up drowning and melting and respawning, and I can't do that again because I don't have enough HP. But what I meant was that here you can see there's a lot of gravity pulling you down. So we do have teleportation mechanics that are taking place, and they're going to be necessary for certain parts of different worlds. But as you can see with all of your different movement fundamentals and so on, there's a lot you can do. And our goal is just to make the game look really nice and appealing, and for it to feel nice as well. Okay, so down here, for example, you have the opportunity to come into this little area. And so there's your first opportunity to use your brain a little bit, as you have to use a mechanic you just learned to do something slightly different. Is there a reason why this is activating? Well, if there is, I'll fix it. This is going to be updated to the new warp, which is the one that we did before, which is the chocolate fountain, but this is how the old warps used to look. And yeah, so we're here. We're currently at the checkpoint, baby. I don't have any room for dying, but I can pause. You can see I've only got 1 HP left, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I am going to spoil it. If you do die, you die, and the scene restarts, and you have to start from the beginning again. So we've just unlocked the spin pound, which is a beautiful movement. You can see it's full of power, full of girth. There's a nice explosion mechanic to it. And we have a button here. Now, you don't actually have to hit this button. You can go forward, but if you don't hit the button, you're going to realize later that you have to come back. And it's important to keep that in mind because you need this. That's peculiar. For some reason, the music is not playing, even though it should have. Yeah, I don't know why not. Peculiar for sure. Alright, well, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that later, I suppose. In any case, wait, did I turn the... I did turn the music on. That's kind of peculiar. Okay, up we go. You'll notice again that the whole stage as well is just kind of designed with little holes and pit traps everywhere. But they're not very difficult, and they're not really designed to be difficult. The goal, of course, is for you to be able to run through this whole thing entirely on your own. So, we just kind of maneuver around this little place right here. I just noticed. That's going to have to be rectified. Explained later. But yes, you come on up here. And if you do this, you've now successfully completed the timer. Had you not done it, things would have gone wrong. This is also not supposed to be happening. There's a lot of problems when you build the game, apparently. But yeah, coming on down here. We've arrived at this little plaza. And yeah, that's the mistake, is that this place was not usually open. So currently it is, and that's why it's a problem. Coming on down here. I know I missed a sign, but don't worry too much about it. We do have a sign down here as well, but I'm not going to tell you what it says because some of these things are supposed to be a surprise. You can't just find out everything on your own. And so this does mark how you're getting around all these different stages, but that's okay. Things will change along the way. Now here's our first instance of the chocolate fountain. This is how you regain HP. There are other ways to do so as well, but this is one of the major ways to do so. And these will also start to mark as checkpoints as the future. So we'll start to work on that as well. You can respawn inside the chocolate. Exciting times, I must say. And this is essentially the end of the tutorial world. Okay, you can see it was a little bit of an interactive one. It had quite a bit going for it. I'm a bit, upset that some of the parts that I tried to work on recently didn't really activate. And that comes down to the fact that I just built the game. And when you build the game, some things tend to go wrong. But we'll deal with that as well. You get this nice preview of the world you're about to go to whenever you get next to the orb. Because these are actually the orbs that take you to the next world. So you come over here, and this will take us to the hub world. As soon as you break it, it goes up to the top. And again, problems when you build the game. It comes up to the top, and you can see we're in this little platform that raises us up. You just go into it, and then you're taken over. Once again, there is no music. Why not? Oh no, there is music, excuse me. There was no music in there. Yeah, that was a bit weird. I'll actually go ahead and show a little bit about what's in the castle, but as you can see here, we got these little cupcakes, and this is for testing. In most stages, you're going to have 100 of a certain set of collectibles that you need to get. When you get all 100 of them, you get this nice little animation. Now, I've set it to activate only when you get 10 in the hub world, just for the time being, as a means of testing. But it's a nice little opportunity for these things to just kind of to showcase everything you've collected. It's a bit of hard work. We'll come back out here and explore the outside in a moment, but when you come back inside, you get the castle. And, big props to Hugs. He's the one who worked on this. This will also heal you, by the way. This is also a fountain that can heal. And her throne. We can start to go upstairs just to get a chance to really visualize all of the work that was put into this castle. It's all of the different queens that had run the castle. I mean, we are a queen ourselves, but of course, those were all the others in the past. We are the one in the center. Coming on up here, this is of course a chocolate fountain, and it also draws you in. And if it does, you get drawn up into her little Secret bedroom. There will be stuff added here in the future. There isn't currently anything here, but it will be added in time. Finally, we can come back down. Keeping in mind as well, it's not really nighttime outside, and that's not going to be what the skybox looks when the game is finished. This is currently only because we want to ensure that we have a strong distinction between what's happening on the inside and the outside scenes. We don't want to accidentally start making modifications in the wrong scene. So that's mostly for debugging. But in truth, it's going to be daytime outside just like it is in here. I'll take you outside as well so you can get a chance to see it. So this is of course what the outside will look like and what it currently does look like. And these here of course are just for testing. They're not really going to stay, but they do also give us the opportunity to get a little bit more HP. If you fall inside water that's a little too deep, you drown, and when you drown, of course, you melt. Now, I have her respawning here, but she will, of course, have to respawn somewhere a little bit more appropriate in the future. Let's keep going. Now, okay, you got some collectibles here. I don't believe we're going to be using the chocolate chips in the future. Sorry, the chocolate cake in the future for this area. But it is, of course, just, again, to make sure things are working the way that they should. We're still in the early phases. I want to talk about the music as well. So the music we're using here at the moment is also temporary, but I did design this myself. So I composed this earlier, but I did it when the game had a slightly different feel, and currently we don't feel like it really fits the hub world the way that it should. So we're going to switch it out for something that has a little bit more of a happier vibe, because this one, of course, with all the rain in the background and the lightning, the thunder, it's not really fitting for what kind of skybox we have here. And that's something we'll definitely deal with in the future. Just listen to that music, the melody. Oh my goodness. So, right, so this is just a little bit more of the outside. It's not very full at the moment, but we are actually going to be adding a village in the future, so that's just something to keep in mind too. Now, when we come over here, so I'm actually going to cancel that one, because I kind of came into it in a manner that you're not really supposed to, but really, when you're inside the castle, you do have the option to go out the back door. And from this back door, it takes you over here. There's also a cute little animation thing, if you notice, is that when she runs in, she automatically starts walking, and it's just to kind of make the animation look a little bit smoother. When you come over here, you have the option to enter the maze, and again, text is temporary. But once you do come inside, you enter into this first-person zone, okay? And here's where things get really interesting. So this little area here is, it's kind of weird to explain why it's designed the way that it is, but I think it has a really good feel to it. But the most important thing is this maze is a problem in and of itself. There are going to be some prizes that you get for completing this maze, and it's actually going to be, it's mandatory that you complete it, but you do have to give it a shot if you want to go for the 100%. As soon as you come in here, you'll notice the music changes, the sky starts to shift, everything starts to shift. And this is an actual maze. Now, it's actually kind of loud, so I don't know how well I'm going to be heard after this, but yeah. You do have to try to find your way around this maze within a timely manner. Now, there isn't anything that indicates this yet. However, as you're running around the maze, what you will notice is that it kind of starts to flood. Right? And that's fine. You know, the music is still cheerful, but as soon as it really does start flooding, the music also becomes slightly less cheerful. And if you can see it, it's actually still filling up. It's not calming down at all. And then the timer kicks in. And I need to acknowledge that if you don't finish this in time, you will drown. Right? Like, there is a consequence to this. There's a castle in the background there. It's also nighttime already. I'm gonna get out of here. Okay, and so that's how you're essentially going to be completing the maze. You will be getting something for that, and that's going to be necessary for story progression later, but we'll explain what that is in due time. Everything that you saw there was relatively tentative, but that's okay too. So it does do what it needs to do. These are going to be the level warps over here, and they are essentially how we're going to be shifting from one world to the next, and you know, because we are in the hub world currently, and they fit the same theme that we did in the tutorial world, and coming here from the tutorial world was actually an indication of how these work. Something to note is that they won't all be active right off the bat. They will become active when they're necessary. And the stages are currently not active. So again, when I built the game, for some reason we're having this problem, but we'll have to iron that out so that it works perfectly. But yes, you'll get the opportunity to actually shift over to that new world, and I mean, this is currently the first world. It's not really going to look like this. This is all just for the sake of keeping things nice and systematic. But yeah, so with that, we can then go ahead and quit. And I'm just going to quickly run back through the tutorial world because I want to see if that music that I wanted to kick in is going to kick in, but I doubt it's going to. And actually, the music from the other stage is continuing on, which is by design. Music is supposed to continue playing until we tell it to stop playing, as a means of ensuring that there's nice continuity between the different stages. I want to add as well that you don't have the ability to do things like the puff glide and the spin pound and everything in the tutorial stage, unless given the opportunity by getting to the right segment that lets you do it. So there's a lot of things that we have to consider in the game, but we're currently making some nice progress. We're almost finished with this tutorial world. There's still a lot of changes I want to make to it to make it a little bit more smooth and streamlined. I do want to give it its own music. I do want the music that I composed, paper tables, to be included as well in the button, which I've already done, and I'm not sure why it's not showing. But that's something we can actually do. So let's just go real quick. Actually, I'll show you what happens when you fall in here. You just drown. I mean, nothing else will ever happen when you fall inside water. But in any case, I think I'm going to stop it there. And the reason why is because I don't think there's very much left for me to be able to showcase. I might pause this and try to showcase what the button is supposed to do with the music with the actual Unity editor, since the build hadn't done the trick. So I'll show that to you in just a moment. Okay, and I am back, and we're currently working from inside of the Unity editor, as you can see. Actually, I don't know if you can see, but now you should be able to hear with the music actually working. I feel like it completely changes how the scene plays out, especially when there's some music going on. With the music, and you have the little timer coming up and everything as well. And, you know, with the signs. It's all part of the fun. But yeah, so that's essentially all I wanted to showcase. I hope this gives you a nice idea of what the game looks like right now and how we're trying to pan it out and make it a little bit better. Improve it on a lot of different aspects. And yeah. I want to close it off here, but I do feel like I should get to the door before I do. So here we are. Okay, and we made it with about 12 seconds to go. And there you are. So yeah, when there's actual in-game music for the stage as well, it will have a nice transition to go back to the current stage music, and that should do the trick. Okay, I hope you enjoyed.